Well, you also have to be willing to suck for a while. You also have to be okay with not being in the spotlight for a while. And you have to be open to the idea that you might just not be good at it. Like when people criticize you and say, you're gonna do a lot better with the friends who are direct with you and say, hey, dude, I'll be honest, I don't think that was a great episode, or I don't think you were very funny, or I don't think the quality of the content was good. If they're coming from a good place and you know that they're not just shitting on you because they don't feel good about themselves. Sometimes I feel like if you have relatively good intuition, you can tell if someone's just looking for the negative, because there's always going to be negatives. You could have always made the content a bit better. You could have the lighting could have been a bit better. The audio quality could have been better. There's always a could have been better, you know? But if it's good enough, I don't like to say good enough because it sounds lazy, but there's a truth to that. Meaning if the quality is good enough where people like it, obviously you should always want to improve, but that's a relative statement. You can never achieve a level of perfection. You can be better than everyone else. You can be at the top of the list, but there may be always someone who comes along and does it better. So the best you can do is just strive for greatness, do your best, and hope that it works. But so many people are turned off and see somebody at such a higher level of expertise than they are, and they go, oh, I'll never get there. You might not. That's the reality. The world's a tough place. People are like, yeah, well, I'll just make a couple of episodes and everyone's going to like it. It's going to be so good. It's like, no, no, asshole. It's a tough world, man. Like, people are going to comment on how crappy your stuff is, and they're going to call you an idiot, and they're gonna tell you how funny you look. I mean, or people may end up loving you. No one will say a bad word. These things aren't known. You know what I mean? You just have to take a shot.
Right, but I mean, okay, if I was having a conversation with somebody about unknown things, like uncertainty, everyone's freaking out like this whole like coronavirus. Of course, it's really bad, over 1 million cases now in the world, but like people are dying, but the uncertainty, everyone's freaking out about it. But I look at it as like, well, I just realized recently it's like, well, everything's uncertain in the world. Like nothing is 100% gonna, like there's no like safe job, there's no like nothing is like 100% in the world. So like this is just another thing we're not used to, but it's also not 100%. So even more so with content creating, I don't know.
Oh, it's 100% true. Nothing's certain. That's why, to be honest, I get people who don't take any risks. I understand the thought process, because the thought process, it's very taxing on the mind to do something that's scary to you, to do something that's out of your comfort zone. It's a scary thing to do, and for most of the world population, they're like, okay, I have a job, I have a home, I have food. I'm not interested in all this headache in trying this new passion I have, or going after this hobby. It's too much work for me. If it goes badly, I'm going to hate myself for doing it. But I think you'll hate yourself a lot more for not doing it, and then maybe even seeing someone who did something very similar to what you had in mind and becoming very successful at it. That's probably the shittiest feeling you can possibly have. It sucks when you watch someone do something that is almost identical to what you wanted to do. You see that often with inventions or with investment ideas. Like you see a company getting big and you're like, I'm not going to bother. It could go bad. Someone else comes along the next day, invests a couple of $1,000s, makes a killing from it, and you're like, oh. You got to grab opportunities. But then after that, okay, so you missed the opportunity. Go after the next one. There are going to be 1,000,001 opportunities. Take them. You miss 10 of them, there are going to be 300 more. You know?
A lot of people see it as like, yeah, this is the one chance, and after that,
Right.
it's like, yep, I got nothing else because that was my one opportunity because they wanted it to be their one opportunity. But like,
Yeah, because for most people, they want instant gratification.
right, and that's the exact opposite of what we're gonna be experiencing for at least a few, who knows how long.
Yeah, but it's like that with most things, man. Like, it's like that with most things that are worthwhile. It's like that with anyone who has, even if you're looking at a job, even anyone who has a good, well paying job didn't just roll over out of bed and get it unless they had a family. Some people do, honestly. Life is unfair. Some people have amazing connections. Their parents have a lot of money. Their parents come from, their parents know a lot of people. They come from generational wealth. It's not always about wealth, but sometimes a kid will just he or she was born into a family where that father or mother has a connection where they can start off making 150,000 a year. Meanwhile, another person in a home isn't as fortunate as the other person, starts out with a $30,000 a year job. It sucks. It's unfair. You can either bitch about it or you can figure out a way, and you might never figure out that way. You might not. It is what it is. You might never get that job. But if you mope about it and you complain about it, that's a guarantee, a surefire guarantee that you will never get that. So it's just a matter of giving yourself a shot. It's like nothing, like you said, nothing's guaranteed. But I mean, I know I might die today. I might die tomorrow. It is what it is. So why in the world would I not do a said thing that, it's just, I don't know. For me, it's like a no-brainer. It's like, what do you have to lose from it? You know what I mean?
Right. You're 100% right.
Yeah.
Yeah, like what would you lose? An opportunity. That's literally what it is. Like you'll lose an opportunity, you'll gain guilt. That's literally like regret.
Yeah.
That's like, yeah, that's like what. One thing I always think about, because I have a lot of people in my life who are like, yeah, just like, this is stupid. Don't do video stuff, like, or do video stuff, but like work for somebody else, or you have to get a degree, which I'm getting anyway, but like that's the one thing you need. You need to get a job. You need to do this, and I don't know. I always have this mindset, like this one saying in my head that I thought of. I'm like, I would rather work my ass off for myself than work my ass off for somebody else. And when you're working, and let's say you want to get a really high paying job, you have to work your ass off. So I feel like I would rather put my energy into myself and into something that I find to be valuable and important to me than to go to some startup that somebody else thought of, that was someone else's baby, and put my all into that. Like, that's not worth it for me. That's like the worst of two evils, one would say. But I wouldn't look at me building up my own thing as an evil.